factoring polynomials with 4 terms today. Okay. So we are skipping over 3 terms for a hot second. We're going to go back and do those. But 2 terms is what we've been doing. So we've been looking at binomials, and we're going to look at polynomials with 4 terms today. The reason we skip over trinomials for a little bit is because we use strategies from both binomials and polynomials with 4 terms in order to factor trinomials. So we're going to come back to trinomials. And we're going to start with looking at these steps right here. So the way we go about factoring polynomials with 4 terms is a method called grouping. Yes, ma'am. So we are going to group them. Okay, so how to group. Okay, the first thing you're going to do is you are going to group the first 2 terms together and the last 2 terms together. So we're going to group x to the 3rd and 7x squared, and we are going to group 2x plus 14. Then we are going to look at each group and take a GCF out. Okay, so we're going to start with the first one, x to the 3rd plus 7x squared. What is the GCF there? X squared. So we are going to factor that out. So we're going to divide x to the 3rd by x squared, and what do we get? Then we're going to do 7x squared divided by x squared, and what do we get? 7. So that is our first section. Okay. Now we're going to look at the second group. What is the GCF of the second group? 2. So we'll do 2x divided by 2, which is? And 14 divided by 2, which is?
7.
Now, we have to factor out the common binomial. What binomial is in common with both of them? The x plus 7, right? Y'all see that in parentheses? That part is the same in both. So what we do is we pull that to the front. Then we take what's left over. What is left? So we take x squared plus 2. So we take the thing that's the same and put it first. And then we take what is left over and put it there. Okay, that's what's happening. Then, if you need to check, we just distribute it back out and check. So let's do that real quick. To check this, I would do x times x to the 3rd, which gives us x to the 3rd, because we do x times x squared. Then we would do x times 2, which gives us. Then we do 7 times x squared, which is. Then we do 7 times 2, which is. Now, is that right there in standard form? How do I need to rearrange it to put it in standard form? X to the 3rd goes first, then what? Then what else? Plus 14. Is that the same as what we started with? So we've checked it and our answer was right. But that is how we group. Okay. So we are going to do several of these together. Okay. So let's look at number 1. So we're going to group the first 2 terms, and we're going to group the last 2 terms. When I group the first 2, what is our GCF? X squared. Now, what does that leave?
X plus 4.
Now we are going to look at the second one. What can we factor out of the second group? What does that leave? Plus 4. Now what's the same? So we bring that down. And what's left over? So that is our answer. And do I have to check it every single time? But if you're ever doubting yourself, check it, okay? These problems kind of have a built-in self-check too as you go, because if you get to this step right here and these numbers aren't the same, you know you did something wrong, okay? Yes, Daniel.
So why do we do x squared plus 8 on the second one?
Because we take what is left over. So essentially what we're doing is we're taking out the greatest common factor of those two groups. What is the only thing in common with those two groups?
X plus 4.
X plus 4. So when we pull that out, it just leaves the x squared plus 8. All right, let's do number 2. Or not number 2, number 3. So for number 3, we are going to group first two, last two. So when we group the first two terms, what is our GCF? W squared. So when we take out the GCF, we divide out by W squared. If you need to show your division step like that, please do. Don't get caught up on doing things in your head so that you forget something, okay? If you need to write it out, write it out. What is W to the third divided by W squared? What is 5W squared divided by W squared? Now, the second half. What do you notice about that 8 in the front? Anytime we have a negative in front of what we are trying to take out with a GCF, we're going to, that tells me right there that I'm going to need to pull out a negative 2. Okay, what would my GCF be besides the negative? Negative 8. So we're going to divide both of these by negative 8. So what is negative 8W divided by negative 8? W, yeah, 1W specifically. Negative 40 divided by negative 8. What's the same? So we take that out. And what's left over? W squared minus 8. You're done? Set it on top of my laptop. I have a second thing to put on it. Yeah? You can. We're not going to, probably. All right. Now, I want y'all to look at 2, or actually I take that back. We're going to do number 5. Okay. Group the first 2. Group the second 2. So for the first 2, what is my GCF? P cubed. When I factor out the P cubed, what does that leave us with? P squared, then what?
Wait, why isn't the common factor P squared?
Because this one has a 3. So because that one has a 3 and that one is bigger than 3, we can take out the 3.
But wouldn't it not be able to go into that one?
We are not doing this one yet. Okay?
2 separate?
They are 2 separate ones. Okay? Now, we're going to look at the second group now, Ramsey. So here, when we look at this part, that is negative, so that tells me my GCF is going to be negative. What is my GCF going to be? Negative 2. And then if I divide that by negative 2, what do I get? And right here.
Why is there 2 separate ones?
Because we are doing a 4-term polynomial. So in order to factor, we have to do something called grouping. We group the first 2 terms and we group the second 2 terms. Where?
On that one?
This one?
Yeah.
Why did I pull out the negative 2?
No, why don't you do negative 2p?
because the 12 does not have a p in it. So because that is just 12, we can't take out a p. All right, now what is the same? P squared minus 6 is the same, so we're going to take that and pull it out. And what will that leave us with? Or not p squared, p to the cubed. Then it's minus 2. And that's our answer. Yes, ma'am. Do what? Just a second. What is it, Will?
So you take out the things that are the same, put that in.
Then you put what's left over in the other
How
one.
we get P cubed?
So in this first group, we have p to the 5th, and we have p to the 3rd. So the GCF is p to the 3rd.
Okay. And that's why we put it there?
And then, because this is this part that's the same, so we write it as 1. And then we take what's left over and we write it as the other one.
Okay.
And when we distribute that back out, it would give you what you start. So it works. So I want y'all to do number 2 for me real quick. Do 2, 4, and 6, but start on number 2. You will group the first 2, and you will group the last 2.
Is this what you got? I understand. Yeah.
Yeah, first part is
Okay, because you have an a to the 3rd and you have an a squared,
Yes, it does.
right? So what's it?
It's not close, so you subtract or you get 9
Yeah,
and then
but you have to take out what's the greatest common factor. So you have to take out the a squared, so that you won't have an a left right there. Because you still have the GCF as a
you
background.
square. Miss Dalton, what'd you write up here?
So your GCF would be a squared. Okay, no, yep, that's what you get right there.
And then if like it doesn't balance out, it's fine.
Did I do the right?
Yes. Now do that.
Oh,
And we just work through that example. I'll go back and turn this.
Do I have to do something else after this, or are you done?
Now you have to do the group part. So you pull what's the same out front, and then you do what's left over.
I don't know.
Okay, so what's the same goes front. Then you take what's left over and write it.
I forgot there was a
A squared plus 9. And that's how you do it.
You do 6 too?
Mm-hmm. For number 2. Okay, is this what we got for number 2? Okay, is there any questions on number 2? All right. If you haven't done 4 yet, go ahead and do 4.
Wait, for 6?
Hmm?
Over here. Would it be negative 92?
Not for would just be b squared. For the second, though, you need to take out a negative.
Because that's first.
And if you've already done 4, do 6.
Easy only done that, that's perfect.
If you're subtracting, if you have, if there's a specific, if there's specific line right here, and then like that's how you know. It's negative.
That's how I watch it.
All right. Is this what y'all got for number 4? You just write it. So instead of writing it from here to exponents, you go from exponents to here. All right. So for number 6, we group first 2, last 2. For the first one, we take out v squared, which will leave us with v minus 1. Not for the first one, okay? The first one's not negative because is that v to the 3rd power negative? Nope, so we don't take out a negative. Now for the second one, what do I need to factor out of the second group? Negative 3. That one is negative because that 3 is negative. And we do v minus 1. And then we have what's the same. And we have what's left over. And then we are going to flip to the back.
Can I have peanut butter? Yeah.
You do what you can do with that. Yes, ma'am.
I'm gonna do it. No, I want to.
Okay.
All right. Now, we're going to look on the back page. And we're going to do the odd problems together. Okay? So, for number 7, we're going to group first 2, last 2. Okay, what is my GCF for the first 2?
What, we're doing 7?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir.
3x. Ooh. You a man, man.
It's 3.
3. What? 3
X.
squared. Okay? And so we divide both terms by 3x squared. When we do that, what do we get? Minus 7. All right, for the second half, what is our GCF? So I divide both things by 4. X minus 7. What's the same? What's left?
3x squared plus 4.
All right. Do number 9 for me.
It's literally the normal
Okay, so your exponent would be,
negative 1.
where does the negative exponent go?
Away, we don't down. So it has to be another fraction. Oh, so the answer will be a fraction. Will it stay negative?
Oh, do 9. Oh, I did 9. Get home.
Okay. So it's simplified, so that doesn't look right.
That's okay. That's good. Yeah.
Specifically?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, also for this one, you just,
When you square something, what do you do with it? You
Twice.
multiply it by itself.
okay. And then, yeah, let me redo that. And then, what was it with these? Whenever I was doing it, I just dropped the 4 down, right?
Okay, which one needs to go first though? It's got to go standard form. Biggest exponent to smallest exponent.
Oh, 3 and 4, like that 4 one. And then, do you have to put like all the exponents first and then the ones without the exponents?
Okay, and these. Okay, so you rewrote them right. Okay. Or does a positive and a negative change?
I don't know.
What's a positive and a negative multiply together?
A negative?
Negative. So would that change?
Probably not.
Okay. And you have to then, once you change all your signs that need changed, drop the parentheses and just combine like terms.
So you don't have to put a plus or minus in between them?
You do.
You do?
Yeah.
So you have to put
That sign, yeah.
Okay.
All right. Do number 11 and 13.
No, like it's bad. Like there's no fix. Is it? You can't run.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Daniel, Miss Melton needs you.
Oh.
That's me. Look it up.
It took me a second because she used your first name and all of it. Who?
His name's Edwin. Shut up.
See, I wasn't going to say that. All right.
Can you stop force playing in the classroom?
For real, though, can we? Put them on my desk. Or put them on top of my laptop.
How long will be back then?
Oh yeah.
Then you what?
I don't like it.
I don't know.
All right, for number 11, is that what you got for your GCFs?
I'm finishing it right now. I finished it right now.
Oh yeah, that's what I got.
Then what would my final answer be for number 11?
2x plus 3 and 1 of them. And then in the other one, 4x plus y.
All right, there's too many extra conversations happening. All right, number 13. We grouped the first two, and we grouped the last two. Okay, first two, what is our GCF?
Probably 2a.
2a?
A to the
A to the second power, which is going to leave us with, because if we divide this by a squared and this by a squared, we get a plus b inside. Then for the second half, what is our GCF? B. If I divide both of these terms by b, what do I get left with?
A plus b.
And then you get a plus b, and then that is 4 plus b plus.
Perfect. There we go. All right. Now, the challenge section at the bottom, okay? So it is slightly different in that it is not already in standard form, okay? So we have to put these in standard form. In order to put them in standard form, okay, what matters more?
Numerical.
Alphabetical or exponents? In standard form, alphabetical will go over exponents. Okay. Now, exponents will still matter, but within the alphabetical. So, for number 15, What comes first, x or y?
X.
X. Which x term has to come first?
Negative x squared.
Yep, so we're going to rewrite that to get negative x squared first. Now, we are going to do the terms with just x's first. So, plus 5x. Then we're going to do the term with both x and y.
Plus 2x.
Did you set it on my laptop? Like on my laptop?
Like on top.
Yes, perfect. Minus 10y. Okay, now, once we rewrite it into standard form, we group the first two, and we group the last two, and from there, it's just what we've been doing.
I'm sure you said 7.1.
No, keep that. Yeah. All right, so for the first half, okay, what's our GCF?
Negative x.
Negative x. When I take out a negative x, what does that leave us with? Minus 5. For the second half, what's our GCF? Is it just 2? 2y. And so that will leave us with x, because we divide that by 2y, and this by 2y. Negative 5. All right. My final answer will be written as
X minus 5. And then negative x plus 2y.
there we go. All right. Now we're going to do 17 together. First things first, we have to rewrite it. Which one's going to come first, M or N? Yep. So we do 12m squared first, then which term?
3m.
All right, then we group the first two, and we group the last two. Whoops.
It's going to be 3m.
Which will leave what?
3m. Oh.
4m.
Plus 1.
And then for the second half, what's our GCF?
7m.
Which will leave us with? Plus 1. So our answer will be? There we go. Okay, now,
Wait, why does that one change and that one doesn't? I mean, this one doesn't change and that one.
what you mean?
Like,
Because you put those two together.
So these two are the same, right? So we essentially factor that, take that out as a GCF. And when we do that, it goes here. And then all that leaves is what's left. All right. You are going to do questions 8, 12, and 16 for me. Yes.
I forgot to turn this in.
Just put it in the bag. And if you need help, please let me know, and I will be there.
of doing 8, 12, and 18, guys, we just had.
I did mine.
312.
Yeah, you good? Yeah, you good.